Run back in here quick.
Okay, cause it just clicked.
Three, two, one.
Okay. Good morning. Today is December 6th, 2023. The time is now 9 a.m. I'm Kevin Day, Chair of the Custer County Board of Commissioners, and I'll call this meeting of the board to order. If you do have your cell phones, please silence them at this time. And if you would join us for the pledge and for the invocation, please. Brad, could you do some?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We join with the invocation. Father, we come before you this morning, and we bring you praise for who you are. Lord, we just ask that as we come together here to meet, that you would be with us. We ask for your guidance, for your wisdom, and for your direction. Father, we thank you for the many blessings you give each and every one of us every day. We just pray this all in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen. Peggy, could we get a roll call, please?
Commissioner Day,
Present.
Commissioner Campbell.
Here.
Commissioner F.
Present.
Attorney Dan Slater,
Here.
and Peggy Miller, Deputy Clerk.
And Brad, we'll start with you with the audience introductions.
Brad Balsley, Custer County Coroner.
Nikita Phillips, Deputy Coroner. Joni Wilcox.
Stephen Wilcox.
Virginia Treasurer, Treasurer.
Tom Davis, Deputy Coroner. Clyde Butler, Airport Manager. James Gilbert.
All right, and we do have a few people online. If anyone goes to speak later, if they could identify themselves for the record, I'd greatly appreciate that.
Is there a lot of people online?
There's 3 or 4.
Nice to know who they are.
So other than the county, myself, we've got Carol, Herb Kober, Jeff at Westcliff Web Design. We've got John Mallett and Randy Keller. Any amendments to the agenda?
Only the sheriff's in court right now, so it'll be.
He may or may not be.
He may or may not be here.
Okay.
And then recycling, Tim's not gonna be here to give his report. He's got a training thing and people there, so I excused his absence from being here today. Wanted him to stay in the trenches, keep doing what he's doing.
And I believe IT as well.
And CSU,
And see
Reggie won't be here either.
So recycling, IT and Reggie, that's it.
I think IT is going to,
He sent a report, you said.
He sent a report, so, and I believe Reggie did as well, so. I believe most everybody else will probably be here. Okay,
So it looks like Virginia's first up.
and we have no minutes today. Commissioner items, Commissioner Canada, anything since yesterday?
Just that, we will discuss the TV towers later. And, the other thing that I did get in contact with the CTSI, senior specialist for HR. And, she has agreed to send us, to update our questionnaires for both, our interviews we're gonna have tomorrow. And that'll be helpful for the HR as well as BOCC admin. And she is also going to take a look at the postings Cause there's a lot of issues with posting. Postings must have the salaries, as we know, and other things. So she's gonna take a look. I said, here's a typical posting. I asked Jen to send the one we posted for the HR.
Okay.
So that's good. It's good to have the outside help to keep us out of trouble. That's it.
All right, Commissioner.
None for me, sir.
Okay, just a quick note, I did go to attend a Florence Fire Department's meeting last night. Anybody knows of a good auditor, they're looking for one because they're finally got their audit back to them. And they started early. So since we've been discussing things like that. Other than that, nothing to report from down there. Dan, do you have anything for us? I do not. Peggy? All right. That will take us to our reports and, Virginia, you would be first up. You.
The hot seat.
Yeah, you can bring
You
it.
can slide it over and get it out of the sun.
I tried to put it in the sun so it's hot.
It gets really hot then.
There, I'm gonna do it over by me.
There you go.
Is there anything in there or did he just fake us out?
There's money in
Now
there.
you never know, was it?
Money. It's all money. Pay off.
Good morning, man.
Good morning. Jokes like that. In this room.
Yeah.
Would you like to speak to this at all?
Pretty much speaks for itself. It's what it sits at.
I'm glad we have no brackets in the last column.
Yeah, I am too. Very glad.
So for the record, the balance started off at what, Virginia?
You're talking about total or the,
Yeah,
for everybody? Because this is entities and
right.
The
I'm not all of
county.
them. I just want the beginning and ending where you're ending with a balance total of 8 million or.
the
800.
beginning balance is 8,648,776.31. Ending balance is 8,810,262.07.
Yeah, so we ended up spending about 700, is that right? 52.
Yeah, I had to move money to fill up a checking account because we're spending, I don't have money coming in now, so.
Right. At that time of the year yet.
And it's gonna be late this year, so I don't know how that's gonna pan out.
Very true, huh?
Mhm.
Yeah, that's true. But they still making their March 15th date because. of that.
Actually, they said that they did not move our February 29th date either deadline.
Yeah, so
That's
we'll,
still,
so they gotta really scramble to make that date in order to get the tax bill out on the same time.
yeah, I don't know how that's gonna happen, but.
That's the state legislature for you.
Mhm.
Any questions from here? If not, I would entertain a motion.
I move we approve the treasurer's report for, what is it, 1 through the October report, actually 10/1 through 10/31/23.
I'll second that.
So I do have a motion on the floor to approve the treasurer's report for the month of October. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
that motion carries. There you go.
Thank you. That was my day, guys.
Thank you.
Alrighty,
Thanks, Virginia. See you later.
I do not know if Vince is gonna be in person or not. We're gonna holler at him or
Yeah, go ahead.
already.
Holler at him.
Okay.
Sheriff's coming over right now.
Oh.
There you go.
Oh, that was being,
Work out.
maybe they found him guilty. Doesn't need him anymore.
Oh, I can smell the donuts.
Power ratings, they're power ratings.
Gonna have him smell your breath. Hey, did you smell the donuts? You're
Came at the right time.
Very fancy.
I'll let you do first.
Good morning, sir. Morning.
Good to see you.
Give me 1 second. Gary, was Vince coming over for his report? Okay. Oh, that is correct. All righty. I should have. Okay, no, I think I knew too, and I forgot. So thank you. All right. Bye. Judge will be online. He's not here, so
Oh,
just
okay.
his report. Well, so you got out of court in a timely fashion. So,
I have a different kind of report to give you today. Murder decreased nationwide, but increased in Colorado last year. Colorado is #1 in violent crime among the 22 most populous states. And Colorado is #1 in the nation in auto theft. Our county's most dangerous criminals continue to run free despite multiple arrests. In fact, I was just in court with someone who's one of the most dangerous people in our county. And he'll be walking free out of the court here in a few minutes.
Because laws or what?
Yep. Because the Colorado legislature has worked tirelessly for 20 years to incentivize crime, attract criminals, and create more victims. The more ridiculous the criminal justice experiment, the more likely the legislature is to implement it. Just last year, the legislature passed a law preventing us from arresting people for crimes like 3rd-degree assault, 4th-degree arson, and trespassing. In the 16 months that I've served in the sheriff's office, because I started a little early, I'm not aware of a single criminal in our county who's been sentenced to prison. 2 actual statements from victims that were found to not be threatening in our court are, and I quote, this was said by a man to a woman, "You better watch your back, they'll never find the body." And that was not a threatening statement. Another one, a wife testified that her husband said he would kill a named actual deputy of our thing, and the judge didn't find that to be threatening either. I don't know if you guys watched last weekend, but a lady named Madeline Brockway from Texas had the most expensive wedding in the world in Paris. And I think they spent like $60 million on it. Her husband, Jacob Legrange, faces life in prison for firing a gun at the police down in Texas before the wedding happened. And he's been offered a 25-year sentence as a plea bargain. Last year, the same thing happened in our county with Aaron Jones firing 3 shots at Sergeant Jason Salvato, which is recorded on video cam, so there's no dispute. He was sentenced to a mere 30 days in rehab with a 3-year suspended sentence. He's violated the conditions of that at least twice, and since then still runs free in our community. We've been notified of at least a dozen property disputes in our county. These civil cases can take up to 2 years to go through the court process if one party appeals the district court decision. It's very frustrating to all the parties. Some of these can be attributed to terrible subdivision designs from the 70s or earlier. In fact, I was at planning and zoning with yet another person from a 1970s era subdivision problem. It also can be caused by the ignorance of the property owners of the easement and property lines. Informal agreements between neighbors may and often terminate as the property is bought and sold. These civil situations are not improving, they are worsening. I think many Custer residents feel the same way that I do, that generally the residents of Custer are good and decent people. I, along with many others, was shocked, horrified, and dismayed by the senseless gun violence that resulted in the death of 3 and serious injuries to a 4th. That particular case has been referred to the DA for prosecution, so I can't talk about the case because they don't want to do pretrial publicity. But I will add the defendants in that case fought extradition. They were arrested in New Mexico, and yesterday our district attorney submitted an application for something called a governor's warrant that will go to the governor of Colorado, over to the governor of New Mexico, and then we'll have like 30 days to go down and pick them up and bring them back up here. I don't plan on housing either of the defendants in this county, obviously, And based on the particular needs of the two defendants, I've contacted two additional county jails, and their sheriffs have agreed to hold the prisoners for us based on the threat level or their medical problems. So I can't talk about the case, but I do want to talk about the rescue. At the time of the shooting, there were two deputies on duty in the county. The initial information came from two different witnesses to 911, but it was confusing as it was aired over the radio system. It appeared to be an active shooter with the suspect still in the area. While en route, Coroner Brad BOCC called up and volunteered to come to the aid of law enforcement. He responded with the deputy coroner, Nikita. We also had two volunteer posse members on a project we have called County Patrol, where they're sitting in a police car and they're patrolling the county. They also volunteered to come. And so this year, as part of our safety equipment budget, we bought 2 bulletproof shields and 2 bulletproof blankets. And the blankets you can lay across the front of your car, so it kind of turns the windshield into a bulletproof material. So we had the posse go get those, but they didn't get there in time for the deputies and Coroner BOCC and Phillips. And so when we arrived on scene, there was 2 sheriff deputies, the coroner, 2 people from the coroner, 2 people from the fire department, and later some people from the ambulance. And we came up with a quick plan. We didn't know the exact location of the people or their status if they were still alive. We certainly didn't know where the shooter was. It's a kind of a heavily wooded area. I mean, literally hundreds of acres the guy could be in. And so we came up with a plan and drove 3 vehicles into the property where we located the 4 victims. And then one of the victims was found to be alive, which is a miracle, but her body was covered by the body of another deceased person. So we moved them out of the way. Nikita brought us a Stokes basket. It's a metal, like a cot, and we were able to bring the live victim to the coroner's truck, and then the coroner drove it back to where we had left the ambulance, which we had hoped was a safe distance away. And while the coroner's truck is being driven, it's a pickup truck with a camper shell. I don't know if it's out here, but Nikita's literally hunched in the back trying to render aid to the victim. And then that began a lengthy process of trying to locate the suspect, and we had no idea where he was. And some of the tricks that we normally use, like pinging your cell phone, didn't work because he turned his cell phone off. And so we called a SWAT team from Fremont County to come and help us. I also sent out an Everbridge alert, and I asked dispatch to send that to Everbridge subscribers that are within a 2-mile area of where we thought this crime scene happened. And then as an added protection, we went ahead and used the wireless system, which is the same one we used for the fire, which is a little bit sketchy on where the calls go. And so the Everbridge system, I consider to be successful, that it delivered the messages to the people in the 2-mile area that had subscribed and set that up as their area. But the cell phone thing shot messages all the way out here into town. Randomly, right. And so I've used it twice, and both times I've been disappointed in the results. But I thought it was important to get the word out the best we could. So the SWAT team came up there, and eventually we recalled every deputy that we have, and even one of our civilian staff came out to the crime scene to help look for the suspect and take care of the responders and things. And about halfway through the search, we had designated an area, and the sheriff's office has a drone. Fremont County has a bigger drone, and it has like an infrared camera, and we have a thermal spotting scope and some different things. And so I wanted to catch the guy because I didn't want him to pop up and start shooting other residents up there. But later that afternoon, evening, we developed information that his vehicle had been seen in Salida. And so we continued with the search anyways, because just that it was the vehicle didn't mean that he was in it. And about 8 o'clock, we completed the search and determined he was not in our search area, which is a very large area. The next day, we were able to track him to New Mexico using the same technology that found him in Salida. There's a company called Flock that provides a service, and that's the one we used. And then a New Mexico trooper was able to follow along with these alerts. And then I've talked to him personally, he calculated kind of where the last alert had happened and where he was. And he got up on the highway he thought the suspect would be on, found the guy. And he was in an undercover car, so we followed him until he could rally the troops and successfully take him into custody. And we just had the vehicle brought back up to our county from it been being held in New Mexico. And the next thing we're waiting on is bringing the suspects back. So I wanted to recognize the two people from the coroner's office that are here for their bravery in going into this dangerous situation, risking their life and being available, literally at the moment of the drop. Earlier this year, I was asked to provide a new half-time civil service deputy to support planning and zoning. And we have been asked to go with planning and zoning in the past to provide security when they're going to talk with people with these property disputes. And again, I think that there's more than a dozen of these situations that are going on. It's, they're very heated. And I know like your family has lived in the same property, since the Civil War, and there's several things like that. And it's just, there's a lot of emotions involved in these kind of situations. And so based on this new situation, I would like to honor that request from planning and zoning and hire a deputy that I would pay for half-time, they would pay for half-time, and would have to get a vehicle. And he or she's primary responsibility.
They planning and zoning, you said?
Yep.
She has the budget to do that, did you say?
I don't know. That'll be up to you guys.
You can visit with her when she shows up
Yeah,
here in
I
a
can
little
talk
bit.
to her.
But it's just, I mean,
I know you've been doing it as you could.
we have been, and we've also used the posse in the past for that. And I think that having a uniformed officer can sometimes kind of settle the situation down like
Trouble
that.
is on a civil thing, that's good for that hour. And then
Right.
when you're gone, you can't do anything.
Right.
Yeah, that's the courts.
And the courts take up
Take
to 2
years.
years.
I might ask a quick question on it, because since I know I talked to you some on that. And since that time, I've heard that you have very limited time. I don't know if you'd even say part-time person that is doing some work for the towns.
Yes, so I have a civil service deputy, Charles Cox, and he currently volunteers 8 hours per week and does the civil service. We also do standby for DHS because they can get involved in equally, kind of emotional situations, as well as enforcing the town ordinances for the town of Westcliff and Silvercliff. And he does that as a volunteer. And I asked him to do it because we were so shorthanded at the beginning of the year. I can say now that we are full staffed. And our last deputy, Stephen Konegi, actually graduates from Police Academy this Friday. And so he'll walk in the door with 28 years of law enforcement experience.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I just wanted to find out on that, to see if that was a viable possibility, or, increasing his hours, or, but you say he's actually volunteering.
He is, yeah.
Probably not wanting to.
Not wanting to
Not
volunteer
wanting
more
to
hours.
move up from that, okay.
One thing to do that, have time to do.
You guys have any other questions? Somebody asked me like what additional expenses will incur with this particular trial coming up. And the SWAT team from Fremont County, in the past, we've called them out here 3 times now in a little over a year, and it cost their county about $20,000 in overtime to bring the team. It's a big team, and they have deputies, but more importantly, they have a thing called a crisis negotiation unit, and those are civilians that are trained like counselors to try to talk the person into giving up, that kind of thing. And we went and towed his vehicle back from New Mexico, and so that'll be $2,000 to tow him. The U.S. Marshals will probably bring the suspect up in a secure fashion for us for free, but we'll have to go down and get the female and bring her back.
So what is the obligation for a SWAT team? We share it, or is it, if it's in our county, we pay for it completely, or what?
So we don't have a MOU with them. And in the past, they had asked me to provide one deputy to go on the team that would respond to calls in Fremont and then cross-train with them and everything. So we actually had the guy picked out. We sent him to 2 weeks of school, and he left the department 2 months ago.
So you had Pueblo SWAT too.
Yeah. So once the Fremont SWAT team got here, and again that night it was just bone-chilling cold, and it was so windy when the incident happened, the helicopter wasn't available to transport the patient, so the ambulance took the patient to Pueblo and then flew her to the Springs. So the Fremont SWAT team, the commander of that told me that his guys were literally freezing to death out there. And so he wanted the Pueblo SWAT team to come up and relieve them. So I called the Pueblo sheriff personally. And so he had a team coming. And then that was around that 8 o'clock time frame when we could say it was all clear and we were able to turn them around at the border.
Don't stand by for bills, is that what you're saying?
Yeah. One local businessman told me that he would pay for a barbecue dinner for the Fremont County SWAT team at their next training. So I'm gonna hook those guys up.
Yeah.
So. Might be something need to visit with them and maybe get an MOU in place or something then.
Yeah.
Especially if you've used them 3 times this year.
Three times in a year.
Use some fire
And-
support too,
I'm sorry.
some fire support as well.
Oh, yes. And so I'm remiss. I apologize for not saying that earlier. Some of I believe the second responder, maybe before you were there, was the fire chief there.
You were out on Oak Creek Road, yeah. They had,
And so the fire chief himself and one of his officers responded, and earlier our office had actually bought 2 bulletproof vests for them, so they were wearing those. That we bought 2 bulletproof vests for the ambulance, and they brought them, plus their board had approved 2 more, and just this week their board went ahead, and so now all the ambulances will be equipped with bulletproof vests. And they assisted at the scene, they assisted with the patient care, taking it from the coroner's truck over to the ambulance. And then the day that we came back with the CBI crime scene crew, they wanted a hazmat team standing by. So our fire department responded with 4 hazmat trained people. They didn't find hazmat, but they wanted to be prepared if something like that happened.
So on that request, you'll have to come up with, halftime. And if you've only got 4 people worrying and she only goes out once a month,
Right.
what do you do with the other, how do we share?
On the planning and zoning deputy?
Yeah,
So-
if that goes, I don't need to talk about
Okay.
that, but we need to show I know you're undermanned and overworked anyway, but
Yeah.
we
Well,
gotta figure out how it's paid for.
the planning and zoning lady, and I believe she's gonna talk after me, but she has a backlog of 100 or 200
yes.
Yeah,
things
of
that
other
we can
things to
assist with,
clean up.
right?
Yeah.
So I think that keeps.
And we have a homeless encampment out there that nobody's been able to
Yeah.
get rid of. It's gotta be dealt with.
Yeah. And I
It's
do
been
need,
there for years.
so I'll support them, of course, whenever they ask, but that would be a project this deputy could work on too.
Okay.
We do have a pending IGA request from Custer EMS, and they've agreed to pay their pro forma share of the 911 bill for the county. And the 911 bill for the county is gonna increase to perhaps $200,000 next year. And so their share of that would be roughly 15,000. And as a good measure, they actually gave 15,000 to the treasurer to pay their
Yeah, I
share.
heard that, yeah.
But they would like to get that IGA signed by you guys before the end of the year, if possible. And they wanted to, and we would also include the Wet Mountain Fire Protection District in that. So sheriff's office uses the service the most, the Wet Mountain Fire number 2, Custer EMS number 3.
We've been paying for it.
The sheriff's office has been paying the
So,
whole thing,
yeah.
so it's roughly 10% of our budget.
Yeah.
And then Wetmore Fire Department and Search and Rescue get so few calls that it would be worth trying to bring them into paying, so I can just absorb those costs.
The admin would probably cost you more than. what
Yeah,
you get.
right, yeah.
Have you sent me a copy of that proposed IGA?
I sent you a IGA that we did for the radio tower, and then it's some of the same players involved on that. But they would, the 911 service produces a report that says how many calls went to each of these agencies, and then it also will double ding us or triple ding us. So let's say it's a car crash, so they send a deputy, a fire truck, and an
Right.
ambulance, so it counts as a check for all those, but in the grand scheme of things, I think it works out fair.
Do you need me to draft that
Yes.
IGA or is okay? Good. Sure. I know what I need.
We have an IGA between the sheriff's department and Silver Cliff, well, you've got an IGA between us and Silver Cliff for sheriff's support. And
Yeah,
but you'd add a whole bunch of other people.
Yeah, I know we have
Some-
that, but I mean, this is a
little more involved.
yeah, it's a little bit different kind of thing.
Anything else, gentlemen?
Nope.
Thanks for your good work.
Thank you. And I appreciate you guys' support coming to the sheriff's office during the event and coming to the candlelight vigil. It is a critical incident. And so we had a team come from Denver to do what we call a critical incident stress debriefing. And there was 2 sessions of that. The people that were kind of involved in the initial rescue, which was very traumatic, met first with the people, and then there was a second session for kind of everyone else that was involved. And we actually brought the actual 911 dispatcher and call takers from Fremont up because they're equally helpless on the radio, listening to what we're saying.
Where was that posted at? Because I apologize, I did not see that anywhere or know about that vehicle until I was not able to come.
Yeah, it was on Facebook. It was kind of an impromptu last minute thing. And ideally we would schedule that in advance and put it in the paper, but it happened really quick. And the family members came out here that live out of town, and they met with me and the undersheriff and the detective that we have handling the case. And then they wanted to go to the crime scene and we walked through that, which we did. And then the vigil was at the same time. So we had that group of family. We had to do it all kind of quickly to accommodate them.
Well, my apologies for not being here.
That's fine.
Anything else?
No, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Appreciate it.
Thanks a bunch.
I heard you come in and I said that we need to do.
I was listening, but I was helping somebody, so maybe we can schedule some time to sit down and propose.
Absolutely. Thank you. And thank you, Brad.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, the next thing we have would be the report that's sent in from Road and Bridge.
Was it gathered up or was it with?
It was in the one that
same one.
Kelly sent to us.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And pretty standard report. Just gave us the roads that's been graded and cattle guard snow removal and tree trimming.
Yeah.
Any questions on that?
No, the only thing I had, I was gonna ask him, let's see, I sent a note. We had a request a long time ago for signs on speed signs on Macy and Horn, and then several, and now that most recently out in on the top of Bear Basin, for signs to slow people down, as well as signs to let them know there's Amish carriages and kids playing. So but at that time, there's been I don't know, there's been some kind of backlog on signs being made. I'm not sure where he gets them, Kevin. Because he makes road sign, we can make a road sign, but the special signs he's got to order. And
Yeah, I'm not sure. I couldn't speak to where they're getting them at the present time.
Yeah, so if you want to, when you do get a hold of him, there's a lot of heat on, especially on these washboard roads in the winter time. It's gotten worse. And out there. Gary Ziegler had put a request a year ago, and he's been saying it hasn't happened. I've talked to him, said it's been working, and we had a problem getting them painted or getting them made. So he knows that. He just sees a lot of speed going on.
I know they dropped the speed limit down through that section, but what signs was he looking for?
Both speed signs, cattle crossing, cattle guards, that kind of thing.
Okay.
And Vince knows. I know he knows.
All right. Okay, the next one, is Jen gonna sit in for Lisa today?
Most likely not.
Okay,
Nope.
so we would not have that report.
Turkey's up.
So Dorothy for planning and zoning.
Good morning.
Sir.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good.
How are you guys? I'm just gonna run through the numbers real quickly. They kind of speak for themselves. Building is obviously slowing down, and it is the slow time of year. So overall, I'm just gonna run through, we had our total zoning permits compared to last year are half of what they were last year. So, the numbers kind of speak for themselves. We've been busy with, trying to create some things to put in the paper, to kind of educate the public, not just on the septic systems, but the permit process and things that they can do, to kind of make their transition from maybe city life up north to work, living in the county. So we'll be putting some weekly ads in the paper, trying to think of what to call it, planning and zoning something, tips from us. So if anybody has any ideas, let me know. So we're excited about that. We're also, creating some inserts to go inside of each one of the permits, the zoning permits, so that it's kind of like a check off list, so they know exactly what they need. It's listed in there in paragraph form, but we often get permits that are half completed or that doesn't come with the exact information that we need with that. So we think that if we just make a little simple checklist for each type of permit or variance, then they have that, it's available to them, and they know exactly what they need to turn in. Our income last year, this year compared to last year, we've increased by 62%. I've been working, corresponding back and forth with the state land board. We do have a company that is in the process of putting in an application with the state to start, a mining, operation out. It is actually out, just past the landfill on the left-hand side of the road on County Road 328, which is Rosita Road. Originally, when I pulled it up on the assessor's website, I thought that it was 10,000 acres plus, but it is only, after measuring that lot and talking to a few people, it is actually only a 640 acre lot. The company that is considering, starting the mining operation is Colorado Quarries. Colorado Quarries is owned by Mr. Tezak, William Tezak. So they're, out of Canyon City. They do have some operation here in the area.
So which one is it on here? Then it's the 36, which one?
It's,
2270.
it's this one right here in the blue. It's circled.
Okay, that's what I thought.
It's outlined in blue.
But that, the total 600 acres there.
It's 640 acres.
That's a school.
Yep. So, some things that we need to make sure that we consider is, you can see by looking at the larger picture that there are some gullies going through there. I've already had landowners in the area concerned about their wells drying up. If that land is compromised by any way, we will, I met with Keith Hood, the head of the planning commission yesterday, and we have decided that we will utilize some of the information that Silver Cliff has already put together for their mining applications. We have currently our SUP process, which is very well defined, but those questions that are on there that we'll ask them to fill out or we'll review with them. It'll be Keith and myself in a meeting with Colorado Quarries before we have any public hearing, going through with them what things that they need to identify as areas of concern from our standpoint, or just identify as, what things that they have in their plan, what things they need to bring to the table when we do have the hearing with the planning commission.
Because it will not only go through the state, but we'll also go through our SUP process.
That's correct.
Yeah, we have a grazing lease on that.
Say that
We
again,
got a grazing lease on that. I know it pretty well.
on that particular parcel. Okay, so those are some things to consider: the water usage, the water, diverting any water, and there is going to be probably one of the biggest concerns from our citizens, I would imagine. And then the dust, we're gonna have to figure out what access they would have into that parcel, because there is a home right in front of there that borders Rosita Road. Keith and I looked at it. I mean,
Sort of that
I
jet
wouldn't imagine
pile.
they'd want to use their driveway, but they could possibly create something further down to enter the property. There is no entrance right now to that particular parcel. So,
Do you know? I don't know that it's probably went that far in the process, what their initial asking is of the state as far as size. They'll probably try to permit the entire section, but then they generally only ask for,
Pieces.
you know, say a 40-acre spot to begin with, and then they have to apply for an expansion later.
and I would imagine that's how that'll go from my understanding, but it's not that far along in the process yet.
Okay.
So I don't have an answer for that.
Just in terms of the application that Silvercliff uses, it's important to note that Silvercliff has adopted a much more comprehensive mining permit process than the county has. I've seen to recall that some of us have had some discussions about possibly adopting something that's a little more robust in terms of Custer County for a mining permit process. But that's something maybe we should look at some point in the future.
I agree. I think that's something we need to do. I've been talking to the planning commission about that. And I think this is a good start, at least for this one.
Who did this? Is this one
That
we had?
came, I
is that
took
what
that
we
from
had, or-
Silver Cliff, what they
Is it-
currently
Okay, so
have.
she's already-
Yes, sir. And,
Right.
I didn't use the whole thing. It will not be part of it won't be officially part of the process. It's what
That's what they have.
Keith and I will use when we're meeting with them as an initial assessment of what they're gonna apply for on the SUP.
Since we don't have anything in place to that degree.
Good.
Yeah, we did speak somebody talked to you some on that. Mainly not for this particular instance, but
No.
because of a different issue.
Any potential issue that may come up, nothing specific.
Yes.
So
So, any questions about that? I'll give you more information as I get that. They have not officially applied from what I understand yet. It's in the works.
Good deal. Thanks for the info.
You bet. One thing, other thing that I've been working on, and I want to thank Lucas for kind of helping me get the ball rolling. I would like to consider us signing up with, or making an addition to our current Q Public agreement with them so that planning and zoning can add our documents right onto Q Public. Basically, what that will allow us to do, there will just be an additional drop-down box on the Q Public for all of the personal information. They've told me they will actually, they have all of our parcel numbers. They're gonna put them in, add a folder to each one of those parcels so that I can go in, scan what we have in our files. So there will be a file for septic information, for example, on parcel 20, for example. They can, if a realtor's looking at that to make sure that septic system's been inspected, then go in, click on that parcel number. It'll show all of the septic documents that we currently have on file. We can upload those files and name them. So it'll be, for example, all septic documents, all dwelling documents, so everything that we currently have in our files that are pertaining to that particular parcel in regards to zoning permits or septic permits would be available to the public.
So who's the Q Public makes it available? That's what you're saying they'll do, set up the site, or
They'll put the folders in, and then
you gotta load.
we'll have to scan them and upload them.
And that would
It'll be a weekly update to the parcels.
Is it your plan to do just the ones that are new coming on, or you're gonna do it for everything that exists in the
Everything that
county?
is existing, I
There's a
would
lot of
like
stuff to
to.
do. That's good.
Yes. It'll
You
probably
have
take us,
time to do that.
it'll take us years.
Yeah.
But I think, I'll give you an example. Delana's been out. every day I've had at least 4 people call up and want information on a parcel, or I'm having to scan 70 pages of documents to them out of one file. And that's just the dwelling information and the parcel information. That takes time.
Sure. So you could be doing that and putting it in Q Public at the same time.
Yes. Yep. That is, I about fell out of my chair when they quoted it. It's $708 annually. That will allow us to load documents onto Q Public and give the public access to the information that they already have access to. They just have to call and ask for it, or come in and look at the file themselves. And during and we're in our slow season, and that's 4 a day. When we're in our busy season, we spend it's a good chunk of our day that both Delana and myself are scanning stuff, sending it off to the people. It would definitely reduce our administrative time.
No, I think this is a good thing to digitize the world that we just have. I mean,
Yeah.
I see the amount of time you guys spend just gathering the same information for a different entity all the time. And
Yeah, it can be, if there's a house on the market, sometimes realtors call, there's 3 or 4 realtors that call for the same parcel, you know.
And this is just a note that, Q Public is something that the county, JD's office already uses that. I think
Yes.
Kelly's office uses that, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct? As well. Yeah, so, and they've used it with some success.
It is an awesome system. I use it all day long to look up information on parcels.
no, I'm glad thanks for reaching out.
Thank you for
Yeah.
your help on getting that going.
So is that an ask on your part?
It is an ask on my part.
Put on the agenda.
It'll be in addition to the current agreement that we have with Q Public. It won't be a new one, it'll be adding on.
I think that we could probably put that on the mid-month agenda.
Okay.
And to address that.
All right. I was listening, but helping a customer when the sheriff was talking about sharing that resource. I had asked, kind of preliminarily talked to him about doing that, but I wasn't sure. I think after this most recent incident, I think the value, we've both seen the value even more to possibly share that resource. You asked, I heard you ask like what they would do when they're in my department working. I have a lot of, I have a big backlog and things that I need to take care of from a compliance standpoint. There's a lot of times when it would be very beneficial for 2 of us to go out to a property. There's a lot of property disputes out there, or property line disputes. It is, I go into situations all the time and you don't know what you're going to walk into. To have that extra person would definitely be an asset. When we're not out in the field, it's logging to have an additional resource to help log on our tracker for our compliance, because we're not automated. It's a spreadsheet that we've put together to track, we have this letter out, have they responded? If they respond, we put it in the tracker. Those kind of things would be definitely beneficial to my department to have a little bit of assistance in that area. Just to have a backup. Right now I had to lock my door to come over to do my report. So, if one of us is out, we don't have a backup. So that, to have that benefit, and when I talked to Rich originally about this possibility of us sharing a resource, I thought it would be great that he would be able, if he has an emergency, obviously that person, if they're in my office, would go assist him.
All that's good. That's why we told him to put a con-op together, work it together, and she'd come back and let us know how you think it's gonna be.
I probably missed that part of it. I didn't know where it ended, but I think it's a great idea. I did put in my budget, my second choice was to hire a full-time compliance officer, but I would definitely be willing. I think it would be great to at least start out with a part-time person. Another reason that I think this would be a great idea is that I think that's going to increase the communication or open the communication between my department and the sheriff's department. It's, we get a lot of calls. I don't want to get into the specifics of the most recent tragedy, but I think there's times when there could be some communication from my department to theirs and back to my department. If we notice something that, hey, this may be a bit major issue, if there was a process put together, we could send that information to them. But just having that one person that's going back and forth would definitely open that line of communication if we don't have a natural process. But I think a process for that is something we probably need to look at. I would also like to ask again for a radio that would give me access to the sheriff's department. I had that.
Thought you had one today, kind of one.
I have one that goes, I do not have, it's not programmed for the sheriff's department. When I'm out there, I would feel a lot more comfortable, like I've said in the past, to be able to get a hold of the sheriff's department, not have to go through Road and Bridge or any other department to get help if I need help. That's it.
We'll work on keeping it on.
I
It
know.
doesn't have to be a brand new radio. I'm not asking for a brand new
There are
radio.
brand new.
This one that I got,
Well, there was,
Still
I
being
had one,
reprogrammed,
but
but
it was
that's
taken
I mean,
away.
there's no more, that's what.
that reprogramming has not taken place yet. I don't know if, because this one could be reprogrammed. I believe it's still a new enough radio to do that. May or may.
Which one of yours?
The one that she has.
Oh.
How much is a radio? I mean, how much,
3,000.
how much is a radio compared to somebody's safety?
Well,
That goes without saying,
Well,
and that's why we care, and that's why we're gonna
We'll
work.
get you.
we'll see and get something.
I appreciate it.
So I apologize for that. I thought that programming was gonna take
Yeah,
place sooner than it has.
And that's fine. I'll keep bringing it up because it would be beneficial.
Keep it on the list and.
I'll keep bugging you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Any questions?
No, thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay,
Good, thanks.
thanks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Clyde, you're up with the airport.
Here for the record, I'm Clyde Butler, the airport manager for Custer County.
Good morning.
Well, the biggest thing on our agenda has been the crack sealing on the runway and the taxiways. The company called Pavement Maintenance Services out of Salida that got the contract to do that started on the 1st of November and finally finished on the 30th of November. So consequently, about 50% of the month of November, our airport was closed, or at least the runway was closed.
Yeah.
That hurt our fuel sales, just about cut them in half.
Surprised a lot of pilots too.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, there was a lot of irritation, but everybody's glad it's finished, but it is not 100% finished. They were supposed to clean up after they finished, but they have not done that yet.
And they need to paint, right? Is that still?
And the taxiways have not been painted. The runway has been painted.
Yeah.
The runway is in pretty good shape and looks pretty good, but the taxiway still needs to be painted. And they did clean up the runway, but they haven't cleaned up the taxiway nor the ramp yet. Other than that, our old fuel tank, and I reported this last month, our old fuel tank was removed in November on the 6th by Andy Kagan. They did a good job of removing it and cleaning up the site. So that headache is out of our way now, and I'm glad for that. Our AWAS, Automatic Weather Advisory Service, is working just fine. The weather cams are functioning well. One more thing on the crack seal, Armstrong Engineering is going to send one of their experts down to inspect the job that was done by PMS. And I expect her to be here sometime this week or earlier next week. As far as the airport's equipment status, the skid steer is functioning normally. Tractor's functioning normally now, thanks to solving the overheating issue. The courtesy cars are both usable, but we still need a fuel gauge fixed on the Yukon.
So they looked at that, or
They haven't looked at it yet. We haven't scheduled a time for it yet. The new hangar lots were surveyed on the south end of the south end of the ramp. And we're expecting the drawings to be delivered any day, but so far they haven't been delivered.
good.
But we do know that the surveyor was there and did the surveying. And about the only thing other than that is the runway lights. I guess, Bill, you saw, I forwarded the email to you because that's kind of your purview. And it looks like they're going to deliver them for us. We were kind of sweating how we were going to get them here, and we were going to get a big enough truck to do that. And evidently, they're going to deliver them for free. So
That's great.
And for those who don't know, the airport in Denver is DIA has replaced all their lights with LED lights, and they're going to donate as many as we need to light our airport.
Big deal. And we put that in the long range SIP, capital investment program.
That's right.
For CDOT. And they were allowed me to put it in an earlier area. So we'll see. They'll match the grant, help pay for that installation, hopefully in the future.
That's my understanding. And that's about all I have, but I would like to ask one question, and you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but just for my own.
You don't have to answer
For
anything.
my own information. For my own information, the airport board approved appointing Mike Rulo to be the new board member. And it was subject only to the approval of the county commission board. I was just wondering if you guys had a chance to do that yet.
I haven't seen it.
Haven't seen it. Okay.
And we know normally it's you guys make the choice, and if there's something we don't, I mean, it should
Well,
just be
I'm not part of
forwarded.
the board.
No, I mean, the board does.
Yeah.
So Brian's been gone, so
Yeah. Good. Any other questions?
nope, good job.
Oh, thank you.
I think that'll do it.
Okay, thank you.
Let's take a break. I want to see a donut and want to make sure it's really in the box. Thanks.
Okay, yeah, we will take a short recess. At this time, we'll be back in about 5 minutes.
They're done.
Did they say that mine was on Rosita
Just past.
west of the landfill in the south side of the road?
It would be
I was trying to picture where the hole.
left hand side, it's the south side.
But what direction? She comes here.
It's going right. Ready? All right, the time is now 10:05 and I will reconvene this Board of County Commissioners meeting. Our next item on the agenda will be the landfill. So Brian, thank you for being here.
Yep. Thank you, sir.
Thanks much, Brian.
I got in last night, so I didn't have a chance to print out what I wrote. So you might have to, I think it's just pretty basic. Everything's going well out there. Still waiting to hear from the state regarding the CQA, which is the construction quality assurance for trench I. Without that, we can't start putting trash in that trench until we get that. And then, of course, the area fill expansion, still waiting to hear from them on that. So we have about 2 months left of airspace.
In
NH, yep.
So 2 months.
Yeah.
Is it, we don't typically have as long wait for the
No,
CQA as we do.
right, last time, I don't remember how long it was, it may have been a month. Once the engineers got it to the state.
Well, I guess if we are down to a month left, let me know and I'll start.
I'm gonna,
put pressure.
yeah, I'm gonna call the engineer today.
Okay.
And see if he's heard anything.
Okay.
I doubt it, but never know.
Just because we had that question on our minutes yesterday that we approved, we actually made an amendment because there was an
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
the
'Cause we
trench
thought
I
I
was
was,
on there, that we were waiting on something back from that, and we made a correction to make that as the area landfill, so that was probably correct in those minutes to begin with. So,
you're still waiting for something on I? Did you say?
Correct,
Yeah.
I is done. And
Yeah,
it's
no, that's
surveyed.
why I'm surprised.
It's been surveyed, but you have to have a construction quality assurance
Oh, you haven't gotten that
report
piece back.
that is engineers come up with that
That's,
report.
that's the confusion. 'cause we
Right,
did-
and that has to go to the state, and then the state has to.
I think those minutes might have stated we were waiting on approval from CDPHE, so that was incorrect, but the change is that it should have been waiting on the quality assurance report.
Living shot,
For I.
And CDHP is correct. That's who we're waiting on.
right, correct.
Okay, so
We're waiting for trench I from Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment and also the area fill expansion now. Right.
So maybe after this report, go back to approval of the minutes and amend the minutes that you approved yesterday.
okay. Sorry, I just, while it was on my brain, I brought it up. So
We've got to amend the amendment.
thank you for keeping us straight, sir.
Yeah.
Amend the amendment, so yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, we're just waiting.
And for the public's, cause I've had several of the public ask about the landfill. So I've reached out and all three commissioners and Brian were on the email directly to who are waiting for Jill Parisi, and there's been zero response back. I've also got Colorado Counties Inc. involved. So they're looking to go to her supervisor and figure out what they can do from their end, so.
Right.
And I'm staying in constant contact with CCI on that, because, and we're not the only county that's waiting, there was multiple counties
Right.
that have been waiting as long as we have, so.
Yeah, I mean, to begin with, when I first started, in 2020, it wasn't an issue. So I'm not exactly sure what's going on, but it's crunch time. And without even a hello. It's
Or we're
frustrating.
working on something, or, yeah, whatever, right?
Well,
No response.
we got a direct
whatsoever.
line into the boss, so I haven't
And
done
who is
that.
that, do you know?
Jill Ryan runs the whole thing.
Oh, really? I looked on the website and
I believe, no, wait a minute, it's, Tom Ladd and, who's that guy? I'll get it.
Okay.
You need to call him, I'll call him.
Other than that, I did go to Iowa. Just got back, last evening and, looked at that compactor and, it was a really good trip. I mean, it was a short trip, but for myself and Four Rivers Equipment who, sent me out there with their rep. I think it's the machine that we need for our landfill. If we do get approved
How much?
for the
is
area
it?
fill. Off the top of my head, I think it's 628.
That was half the price of the others.
No,
That's
no,
what I thought you said before.
no. The lowest bid I got for one was a BOMAG and it's like 608. The most expensive was 775. That was a trash master. See my review.
And this is 628.
628, right around 620 something.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was a good trip. Good to see that size of a compactor, perfect size for our landfill. That landfill was a little bigger, but they pretty much run it somewhat similar to how we run ours, so.
Take a lot of boxes to recycle than to buy that thing.
Well, yeah, Well-
You gotta figure out.
and if the area fill does get approved, which I think it will, it's just a matter of time here. Our compactor is just, we need a new one. Its lifespan is almost complete. And so, just like the loader, it's time. 20 years, 23 years of service is, a long time. Yeah. So, yeah, that's all I've got, unless you guys have any questions.
I don't have anything else. Fine.
But 2 months left on
H, correct, yeah. Okay. And if we don't hear anything, I wouldn't be opposed to putting another 2-foot lift on top of H, which would give us another month probably.
Okay.
Technically, we'd have to get that approved, but
I'd go ahead and put that in.
we're out of time,
Don't wait.
right?
So go ahead and ask for it because we got to
Yeah, well,
take the advantage of what we got.
by the time we get that approved, hopefully they got I approved.
Well, then, but then you've got an extra time on both, so
Yeah.
if that's, see what I'm saying?
Well,
Buy some margin just in case, and if we don't use it, we don't have to.
How long have we been waiting for that CQ?
CQA for I,
Yeah.
oh, probably 2 months, month and a half.
Okay.
Yeah. Without looking at my email, I don't know the exact,
That's all right.
right.
See, got it.
Yep.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, sir.
And thanks for letting recycles use your truck there.
Oh, yeah, yeah, no problem. Yeah, that worked out.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, I just got his number here. I'll call him.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
Thank you.
Brian, on a purchase like that, does that include transportation or?
Correct. Yeah, that's delivered. Yeah.
With that package.
I did.
Oh.
Are you thinking, sir, to go back to that now and? do
Yeah,
that?
just we forget, it's on the agenda, so I think it's good to go.
So I think that we would go back to approval of the minutes, because we discovered an item.
Glitch.
An item we took action on yesterday that we probably didn't need to. Do you have a copy of those minutes from yesterday? No, probably not. If we could just make the amendment to those minutes, then that, we are waiting for the CQA report.
Just delete the amendment that you made.
Or just delete the amendment, okay. So I would move that we, delete the amendment to the minutes that we made yesterday on the minutes.
November the 8th, I've got. 'em
November
pulled up
8th.
here.
Okay.
November the 8th minutes.
And I'll second that.
Okay, so I have a motion on the floor to delete the amendment that we made to the November 8th minutes. Any discussion on that?
Nope.
Okay, those in favor of deleting the amendment to the minutes for the November 8th minutes signify by saying aye.
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 That motion carries. Sorry about all that extra, Peggy.
That's okay.
Okay, next, we do have a report. From Recycles in your packet.
I'll just go through the highlights.
Yeah.
So 200 for recycling, 291 bales of all materials produced year to date, 2023. Cardboard, 214 bales produced year to date. Mixed paper, 46 bales produced year to date. Aluminum is 19 bales produced year to date. And steel, 12 bales produced year to date. Pretty much the highlight. We want to thank the volunteers who help, especially, and then just those who are willing to, you know, to recycle the cardboard and the mixed paper and the aluminum and steel. It helps with the longevity of our landfill, which we are needing drastically since we can't get approvals quickly anymore. So the more we can recycle, the better off we are. It's a good thing. Just want to challenge everybody to recycle as much as they can when they can and go after it. So that's all I got.
Thank you, sir. You have any questions on it?
No.
All right. Okay, we have human services.
This slowly pins. I'll stand up in just a minute.
Good morning.
Yeah.
You couldn't handle being straight up and down when I wasn't.
Yeah, well, I don't know. It gets better and then it gets worse and then it's just a mess. Anyhow,
Okay, so what's your big issue? That's what we want to know. That's it.
about my back or here? No.
I think there's two of them. It sounds.
Yes, there is two of them. Okay. No, I just need a signature on this thing that I brought to you guys last month about the merit system. And I looked up the volume number 2 reference about it, just to make sure that, and basically what it says in there is that we have to comply with what's on this list, which you guys already have, which we already do. So, so here I am again, just needing to have this signed.
Because it was misstated the last
Yes.
time that we had to go out for that
Survey, and this does not say that anymore. They have worked on this thing and they're still working on it. But this year it's going to go, it will be for 2 years. We won't have to go do it and do another change until they're working on it again. And in 2025, so this will be for 2 years. This year and then sometime in 2025. But yeah, I looked up the manual reference. It does not say that anymore. It just says that we have done this, which just says we make sure we have fair and all. Everybody does what they're supposed to be doing and all that good stuff. But you guys have a copy of that. Yeah. So if you have any other questions about it, I would like a signature on that.
So do we need a motion to do that? Because I'll move that we sign that.
We would need a motion to do that.
I'll second.
Okay. So I do have a motion on the floor to sign the certification of compliance for the Human Services Department.
Or a trusting now.
So, and
There you go.
it's
BFE. No,
the requirements on that is that we're an equal opportunity employer.
That's basically, that's what it
Is the
says.
main thing.
That's what it says,
And,
that we are, and that,
that your staff has adequate training to do the job.
that it
they're
has
doing.
adequate training, and all that good stuff, and stuff that we already do. And believe me, we do civil rights trainings for every flipping program we have, and it's like, can't we just do one? No, we have to do it for every program. It's crazy. But anyhow, we have to do all of those trainings anyhow. It is a requirement by the state that we do all those.
Any other discussion here at the table?
No, sir.
I would ask for public comment on this item. Let me check online. Nothing online either. Okay, so seeing none, I would ask then, we have a motion on the floor to approve the certification of compliance for the Human Services Department. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. That motion carries.
You want
You
that
have
one?
that for me to
Well-
sign?
Yep.
What is TEFAP again?
That's TFAB, temporary emergency, no. TFAB, temporary emergency. Oh, FAB, food assistance program. I was leaving the F out and I thought that's not right. Yeah, TFAB.
We have a lot. Well, you guys have been busy with requests.
Yeah, yes, yes, we have been busy. The LEAP payroll ran in November. It was our first one. And we issued to we issued to 138 households. Last year at this time, we did 126, so we were up. This year, the dollar amount was 46,428.93. Last year it was 45,998.47. So it is up. And of that 138, we processed 110 in October and only did a few in November because we had that big rush right at the beginning, because everybody that was on last year has an application mailed to them, so they get in early. So, and it's been quiet. We just have a few applications coming in now, but we'll see more, I'm sure. We've also had more people in applying for emergency, if they have a shut off. We use our energy outreach money for that, which probably isn't going to show on here because we just been getting some of those recently. But we've been processing those applications too. We've had some people with shut offs, and so we've been able to do that. But we had wrong one. No, my energy outreach is in here. Yeah, we had 2 in November where we were able to provide. Well, we did 2 for propane and something else, but we also do applications for electricity, which don't show on this because this is the allocation I have for everything but electric. And that comes in on a different thing. So I figured out how to show you how many applications we actually received. This is just what we received that comes out of the allocation that EOC gave me.
Okay.
But we're processing more applications and they just come out of the fund. That's the electric that's up at it's up at EOC, comes out of their pot of money that they have. But we still have to process the application. And I think we did 2 or 3 of those.
Well, it's not Black Hills.
No, it's Black Hills and it's well, it's Black Hills. It's only Black Hills. So anything that's San is it San, what do you have? San Isabel
Electric.
If they're San Isabel, we would process it out of our money, our 6,000, but it's Black Hills. They just do have a thing for Black Hills specifically. So it's that's just how they do that. But yeah, we are busy. It's and this month is a busy month too. We have 75 applications, redetermined applications that we need to process, 75. For some reason, December is just a huge month for redeterminations. We also, the COLA mass change goes into effect for anybody that's on Social Security. They're going to get a cost of living increase. Anybody that we have on Social Security that's in our system, if for some reason it'll link to our system, but if it doesn't, it sends out an exception report and we have to work that report. Sometimes that can be 10, sometimes it can be 30. So we have to go in there and look at that report, find out what their Social Security has gone up to and do that. So yeah, December is a very, very busy month in our department, but we're hanging in there, right? What else are we gonna do? Oh, and I wanted to tell you that I talked to Matt about that electronic stuff and he's gonna get with me and we're gonna get it up out of the basement and get it over here. So when the guy comes, we'll have that done. And I don't know if we told you about the heating system. Did I tell you about that? That the guy came on Friday and there's 2 parts and they're gonna get those ordered and hopefully we'll have heat working again in our office.
It's out again.
Oh, yeah. Yes,
Did
and
mention
he was the guy from the HVAC said he was really excited because it actually acted up when he was on the roof and he could see what was going on with it.
And that never happened to
I'm
me.
gonna ask you if you were warm.
Well, we
Good
have,
thing the sunshine.
and we have a heater, but yeah, basically there's, when it kicks on, it ignites. But after a while, it goes off, and when it ignites, then the blower comes on and it blows the hot air. Well, then the igniter goes out, there's no heat coming, and so then it's just blowing cold air. So it's lovely. So he goes, but I could see it, and now I know what it is, and now I'm gonna get parts, but I don't know when that's gonna be. But it's a step in the right direction. So, and I let the court know because they're on our system. And I told them they're working on it and they're supposedly gonna get parts. And she goes, I wondered, because I knew they were coming on, yeah. And Matt said it would have been nice if he could have got into their office because he was trying to find out where the vents were and everything, but they were locked up and he couldn't get in there. I was working, so they came in and so that worked fine, so. Okay, I don't have anything else. If you guys don't have anything else,
I think we're good.
okay, you gave that back to me, right?
I did.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yep, I got it. Okay. All right, guys, see you guys later.
Thank you.
Now, see, this time I could actually get up.
Hey, you bounced
Yeah.
up.
Well, it depends on the chair. It's the weirdest thing. I don't know how I'm
Those are
sitting.
magic.
I should take that chair. No, I don't. want it. You can keep your chair. I don't really want it.
Okay, and we have IT here.
Yes,
Thought we had it.
we did. Under Kelly. Somebody did, I can't remember. It's here.
There it is. Okay, so we have IT. If you'd like, I could read through that real quick or.
So the Omni Go to the Tyler Public Safety conversion, that's at the sheriff's office. The Tyler conversion is ongoing. Initial address to road line errors at 6,500 that were at 6,500. Down to 450 at the last staff report. Now it's down below 300. The new antivirus installation, Coro antivirus software installation has commenced and all computers will be updated by the end of the week. The new computer for the school resource officer set up and installed at the SRO office. There at the school, they also put new monitors in there, so we had better access to all the cameras. Because before it was pretty small, pretty dinky to look at all of them at the same time. He's sent the leases to the finance software licenses and multi-year phone contracts. Being compiled for the audit compliance, and then new information technology operation, old technology and cybersecurity guidelines, and continuing ed certification ongoing. And then he's working on a sheriff's office media project. I think that's sheriff's office. And then I've just asked him to start thinking about if we would have to do a software conversion again. From CIC to some other one, just to start, just keep it in the back of his mind and what resources he would need in the future, so. Falling after IT.
Any questions, sir? Okay. None from me either, so. That would take us then to Dominic and Christie. You guys are up.
Christie was gonna speak on my behalf because he said I talked too much.
No, you just talked too fast, is what he said.
The last meeting I was doing 4 minutes.
Morning job.
Good morning.
The faster the better, the hotter the topic.
Yes.
All right. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so. We were open 16 days. I was out sick that one day, so I was in the office 15 out of the 16 days. 41 scheduled appointments. I had 2 no-shows and 1 was a home visit. I had 26 walk-ins, so a total of 67 appointments. All 67 people in the office. New power of attorneys that was submitted was 17, so that brings it up to a total of 76. 25 new intent to file submitted. 13 new claims, which puts me at 69 total. And 31 of those are first-time claims. That's 31 veterans that have never filed claims before. 6 supplemental claims, 1 higher level review. I didn't put any more IU claims in November. So it brings me to a total of 95 claims submitted since I got here August 1st. There were no burial reimbursements submitted for the month of November, and I have those 2 that are still pending. As far as VA debt waivers, a lot of news on that, but VA debt waivers, I submitted 2. 1 of those I've got back. So the very first veteran I had in my office over there came in and he had a debt of $86,311, and that's now waived. So he does not owe the VA that money back. I have another one that's pending for almost $60,000. The news on that.
Mortgages, something.
What's that?
Mortgages or something?
No, they're receiving non-service connected pension, and it's considered it's considered unearned income for Social Security Administration purposes.
That makes it clear because you're not.
Right. So
Money.
So what's happened, and this just came out last week from the VA, their software wasn't working for the last 11 years, 12 years. So the VA and the Social Security Administration, their software is supposed to audit. So veterans are self-reporting what they're receiving as far as income and unearned income, and then the software is supposed to verify. So in the last 12 years, it hasn't been doing that. So 9,000 veterans got hit with these massive debts that they can't pay back.
Right.
And they're anticipating there's more than another 30,000 out there. So they put a temporary hold on all of those, but I've kind of been pushing it out there. Like, if you're getting these debt notices from the VA, let me know right away, because there's more that I can do for you the sooner you act. If you ignore it, it gives you less options down the road. So, I mean, this individual came in right away and I was able to completely waive that debt so he doesn't have to pay it back. So good news, bad news. As far as increases in compensation, I've got 11 claims that have been rated out of those 95. 2 of them were denied, but I'm already pushing stuff back through this. There'll be simple fixes. Of those 9, I increased the compensation on a monthly basis for those guys. They were at $7,500 a month. They're almost at 20 grand now between. So counting back pay and forecasting out through the end of this year, it's brought in almost $114,000 into the county.
That's cool.
One of those individuals, the very first week I was in my office, he came in and I sat with him and his wife for 3.5 hours, Vietnam veteran, and finally got him rated. He's now at 100%. He was at 0. And because the law changed last year with the PACT Act, one of the conditions they rated back a year, and that condition he was actually rated 100% for, so he got $50,000 in back pay. So yeah, completely changed his circumstances. So he's very appreciative. As far as outreach goes, obviously we brief at the American Legion post meetings and the VFW meetings. I did the American Legion meeting last month, but I wasn't at the VFW meeting because I had to go pick up my son from the airport. Veterans Day, I supported the American Legion over at the school when they were presenting the colors. Obviously the Veterans Day banquet, we were there in support of what they're doing over there. The Wetmore coffee that we're doing once a month now. Obviously I was sick the day we were originally scheduled to go, so we did the makeup day on the 14th. So I had 3 veterans show up for walk-in assistance and 1 widow. One of those veterans was a World War II veteran, 98 years old, and shot his attack. The guy's hilarious. The guy was hilarious. So he'll be coming over on Thursday to see us again, so I can get him started with his stuff. On the 20th, we had 20 turkeys provided by Mount Carmel, so we were able to distribute those to veterans. And you know, part of what I do is I want to make sure that we're collaborating here with the other entities in the county. So this widow that I'm working with, her husband never filed claims. And you know, I'm trying to chase something down now after the fact, but she had reached out to me and said, is there anything we can do to help her? Because she's got her family coming from out of town for Thanksgiving. I said, hey, we can get you one of these turkeys. But then I also reached out to the American Legion and said, hey, is there anything we do to help with groceries, you know, $100 something with groceries? And they provided $250 in gift cards for her, so she was very appreciative, but you know, that's that kind of collaboration that I want to get going here in the county and helping these folks. So that was good. The 27th, Christy and I went out to McCandless Community Living Center over in Florence. And we did a walk around to the facility, met some of the veterans over there, talked to the staff. They were very appreciative of us coming in, kind of bouncing around some ideas of how we can support what they're doing. And, you know, they want to bring folks over here to join us on our coffee and stuff. So that was a good visit. And then our Veterans Coffee here, we had 4 events. Last week, we only had 4 people show up, but the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, I was surprised to see 20 people in there. So it was good. So as little as 4 and as many as 20 last month. And then we're pushing out, or I pushed out an incentive to try and get folks in that have other than honorable discharges to do character of discharge upgrades. That way they can tap into the benefits and compensation from the VA. So we have 5 veterans now that have come in, and we're going to be tapping them into the legal services over at Mount Carmel. So we can see about getting their character of discharge upgraded, so then they can tap into that stuff. Upcoming stuff, obviously the first Thursday of the month we have the walk-in over at the Wetmore Community Center, so we'll be over there tomorrow for that. I'm working on coordinating a date so we can get down to Spanish Peaks in Walsenburg, which is the other community living center, and see what we can do down there, and just network with those folks. The Veteran Services Advisory Council, I pushed that out, so we're going to accept applications on that through the end of this month. So that's an ad was sent out to the Tribune, the Sentinel. I put it up on Facebook. Sent out to some community partners to see if we can, you know, engage some of the folks to put in applications for that. And then the veteran-owned business directory. Christian and I were throwing around an idea of highlighting veteran-owned businesses. Maybe every other week we highlight just another veteran-owned business in the county on the Facebook page. So we're going to start working on that. Obviously, we had the meeting with the Mount Carmel folks, which y'all were a part of. I thought that was a very good meeting and very productive. When they came in, Sal and Colonel Bob brought in a chest freezer and 100 pounds of ground beef, which we now have over there with our food pantry stuff. But yeah, I'm just happy that they're seeing the significance of providing services out here, and then throwing out there that they're going to have a line item to support what we're doing out here. I think it'll go a long way. And them saying we'll handle the dialysis, the mobile dialysis unit. That was pretty huge too. So we'll follow up with them on that.
Yes.
And say, hey, we haven't seen it yet.
Where's it at?
Yeah, where is it? Was I talking too fast?
Nope.
Okay.
Just right.
Okay. Here's the CVA 26. Y'all have any questions for me?
No, thank you for.
So I got
Has that person reached out to you?
no.
Okay, I will encourage.
Yes. Please do.
Thank you.
South sent a nice note saying thanks for that meeting, and he sent a good directory of everybody that was there. Did you?
Yeah, I saw that. I
That
saw
was
that. Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Fun,
Thanks for following up. Obviously things slow down around the holidays, and it's no exception with the VA. I think they exponentially make it slow. I have so many claims that are like on the cusp of flipping, and I'm all the CMP evaluations. I'm seeing good stuff, so they're all going to be seeing favorable outcomes. I'm just waiting for them all to flip, and it's frustrating. Like every morning, I'm clicking on them to see if there's an update, and then at the end of the day, I'm clicking on it to see if there's an update, and that's nothing's just sitting there. But I mean, it's the holidays, so it's kind of expected, but it is frustrating.
Patience,
I
right?
know. I just like making those phone calls to veterans, like, hey, come on in and see me. I got good news for you.
Probably all short and staffed up there. Everybody's taking time off.
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
You're good.
So I'd entertain a motion, to approve the CBA 26.
I move we approve the CBA 26.
I would second that. That's a report that he sends back in,
To get his money, his
Yeah.
wages.
so,
It's an
we
important report.
approve every month based upon his report. And that's basically what it is a synopsis of his report, his duty or his actions he's taken. So any discussion on that here at the table?
No.
No, sir. Public comment?
What's the total number, American currency that you've brought into the county so far?
We don't, let's never said that. Why is it gotta be American? So total that I brought in, well, not specifically in the county, because there was an individual,
Bitcoins.
yeah. There was an individual I helped out of Pueblo, but total is 127, 433, and then 87 cents. So $127,433.87.
He was apologizing.
USD.
Let her apologize.
But again, one of those is in Pueblo County, so that's 14 grand that went to Pueblo County, but for here, the claims that I filed for here and that have been adjudicated, it's $113,369.78. And again, that's retro pay, what they're getting monthly and projecting out to the end of this year.
Since August.
Yes.
Okay.
I recognize that the VSO no longer does the firewood, oh, James Gilbert. No longer does the firewood benefit, but you conveyed to me that the American Legion apparently is doing it.
Right, so the firewood stuff comes out of VTF funds. In my position as a county employee, as a government employee, we can't tap into the VTF funds, it's BAG.
Right, I understand that. What I'm questioning is there has been no response from the American Legion for your request to contact me for firewood.
Oh, they still haven't?
No.
Okay, all right, then give me a name again and I'll
Okay.
text Joe. Joe's been out ill, so I know last night he wasn't at the American Legion meeting. But I can re-engage with him,
Okay.
but no,
And,
he's
I
staying
know that
active.
there are other veterans that are wondering what happened.
Yeah, so in the past, the VSO was managing that program for the American Legion and for the VFW. But I can do much more doing this than managing
No,
that.
I'm
Right.
not questioning that. I'm
Right.
just-
So yeah, Joe is managing that program.
I believe a
Again,
lot
he
of
had
that
been
would
out.
go to, those requests probably should be coming to you then, correct?
Well, for firewood,
Yeah, we type.
Yeah,
into
to
that.
both of you.
Right, yeah,
Yeah.
it comes to us and we just get a hold of Joe and Joe reaches out.
Yeah, there are others too. I
That
mean,
works
the
well.
American Legion and BFW have support that kind of stuff
Right.
as well.
Right.
Anything else? Not seeing anything online. Okay, those in favor of approving the CVA 26 report, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye,
Right.
that motion carries. Here you go, sir.
All right, thank you. We'll get that submitted today.
Anything else for him? Thank you, sir.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your time. Appreciate
I'll be over to see you.
You better.
Good morning.
Next victim.
Dominic's hype man. All right, so Dominic touched on the freezer with ground beef. So if you guys know of any veterans that are hungry, send them my way. Father Ed picked a date for his Catholic Church Veterans Retreat. It is January 20th, 9 to 3. So I'm gonna start getting some signups, get some breakfast and lunch plans. I'm really looking forward to that one. And then February 8th, I believe, is what Sal picked for our next Veterans Connection meeting. And if we need to add anyone to this list, we can do that. And then he also sent the list of people, but also like
Yeah,
uh,
I
our
had that.
project list.
Yeah, I like that too.
Yeah.
I failed to mention that,
Yeah,
Thanks
just
for bringing it up.
making sure you saw that too.
I did.
Yeah,
although it is hard to see.
yeah, oh,
It's hidden in the, not that, it's on the tab. It's
On
hard
the-
to see.
yeah.
You gotta look for it.
you do, sure do.
But yeah, so this is our action plan here, what we're gonna be working on. And again, if there's anything that needs to be added to this, you let us know. And that's all I have. Dominic said all the things, so ditto his whole report.
That's a good report.
Yeah.
That was wise to do it that way.
So
Yeah.
anybody in need of that may just have them contact you.
Yeah, and that, you know, I have the food pantry also, like non-perishable stuff. So you make a little hamburger helper dinner or something, you know.
All right.
All right, that's all.
Well, thank you.
Any
Thanks.
questions? Comments, concerns? No?
You can stand up now.
Thanks, bud.
Thought you had half moved. Christie, thank you. Thank you both.
Yep, have a good day.
Okay, emergency management.
So I had, she's not here and I just saw this, she just sent it at 10. And she has nothing to say other than a couple things. I can read it and I'll send this to you, but let me tell you what she said. She said, she's trying to back, she says, we have no storage space and a mobile EOC. Our assets are spread all over the county. Maybe we could get a good deal on it. She's talking about selling it. Priced reasonably, understand you would also need a budget for cleaning and maintenance, etc. The next DOLA grant cycle will be next fall, so that's all she had to say. And the asset is, she says we have no storage space and a mobile EOC. Our assets are spread all over the county. Maybe we could get a good deal on it.
I'm confused there.
I am too. She's just, I'm just reading what she said. We have no storage space. And so she's thinking about putting that in. We have the ULC as being protected and undercover. I don't know what she means. I'll have to ask her.
Yeah, I might get with her on that. And some of the assets, I mean, like the BMS boards and things, they're stored at the road and bridge, but I wouldn't see a need to necessarily create a new storage space for them or anything like that. Maybe might be better if we had her in person to know exactly what she's.
But what she did here, she sent a picture, and it makes a little more sense. She sent a picture across from Tony's building that's for rent. So maybe she's looking at that, but I'll clarify that.
Okay.
If I could, you're welcome at any time to store that in the sheriff's lot.
I think it is. I think it is under,
The generator?
no, this is well, I know the generator, but the the emergency ops in a box.
Yeah, so I'm happy to store that in
Okay.
our shed or whatever. If you look out there now, there's an ambulance and a search and rescue.
Yeah, I know, there's people are taking advantage of it. I'll find out what she meant by this.
Pulling a little bit of money on the side, are you? All right. Yeah, maybe we can get some clarification on some of that. Okay, so then that would take us to the CSU report. And that one was sent separately, if I remember right. Yeah. And so a couple of announcements from Reggie here. 4-H enrollment is now open. And then they've entered into a partnership with the library on a 4-week lunch and learn series. They're speaking at the event. And those are free of charge for anyone that wants to attend those lunch and learn series at the library that the extension is providing. Tuesday the 5th, they had the OEM extension. Robin and Jennifer joined her to educate the community members about the fire mitigation and emergency preparedness. The audience was very interactive on this area of concern for many. They also hosted the behavioral health specialists for the school presentations. They were here for 2 days. Dare to Be You Camp. They attended this camp with 4-H members on the weekend of the 17th of November. That camp focuses on developing basic leadership skills for their 11 to 13-year-olds. And they had more than 100 4-H members from our region attend. And then she just reported also that she did fill in as a backup for PIO because when Jennifer Free was gone and we had those issues, and she jumped in there and took over the PIO for that. And then she is going to serve on the CSU search committee. She was asked to serve on the Chaffee County Extension Director Search Committee. And they already took 2 days for interviews on that. And she facilitated a training program from the Health Rocks in Fremont County for youth development. She's also in discussions with the local substance abuse grant coordinator, as well as the Custer County Kids Council to determine how that we can further implement this program in Custer County. And she's listing some of the partnerships she has established with the Beckwith Ranch, the West Custer County Library, Custer County Recycling. They're all interested in partnerships with the Custer County Extension in 2024. And then to note that she was elected to the Custer County School Board and sworn in on Thursday, the 30th of November. And she's excited to serve the schools and the community in another capacity as well as this one. Any questions?
No.
Any commissioner? Yes, sir. Okay.
Matter of fact, I think we all three saw her boss up there at CCI.
Yeah, we did.
And he had nothing but glowing reviews on what she's doing. She's doing a great job. I did just decipher this. I'll tell you what, and I'll send it to you.
Okay.
So what she meant is the building's listed for $295,000. And she needs an emergency ops center. You remember she applied for one under the senators, that grant that they came up with. I can't remember what it's called now at federal level. Get a grant for $1 million for an EOC, got on the cut list to do it, and then was turned down in the end by other needs. And so she is looking at the next DOLA cycle. It's going to be next fall, and she's going to work with Randy Sneed to see if something could be made feasible on something this small, on a smaller scale. And that's what she meant by that.
Okay.
So I'll send this back to you guys just so you can see the building. Or you can go up and get a pizza and look across the street.
There you go. All right, thank you for that. That concludes our reports. Any unfinished business?
No, sir.
I'll have something here for additional items I neglected to bring up earlier. Okay, that'll move us to new business. And so we have the first item would be consideration of taking the coroner from part-time position to a full-time position for 2024. If you would like to come up, sir.
Liar. I like to.
Either or.
Good morning. No, man. Good morning. Well, you guys already know my thoughts on this position. We've spoken about it before. The coroner's on call 24/7. Recently, we've been busy beyond belief. Kevin, you asked me to provide you with hours last time we spoke about this. And as you can see, I'm averaging about 145 hours a month in the position. That does not count hours where we've done community things like with the sheriff's office. The fire department, when they have an event, we show up and reach out to the public and answer questions to, you know, what the coroner's role is and what we're doing in the community. We went to trick or treat and gave $100 worth of candy away. Things like that we're doing to be part of the community and reach out so that they're familiar with us and comfortable with us and aware of what we're up to. But, you know, besides being 24 hours a day, our workload's been insane the last few weeks. As you know, we've had I had a natural death on the 18th. On the 20th, we had a shooting, the three dead. We went home from that, slept an hour. We're called out on another natural. We're out all night on that. Then 2 or 3 days later, we had a suicide. So I had roughly 6 deaths in 6-7 days. So hopefully it doesn't continue to be that busy, but it's what we're up against nowadays. And one of my campaign promises years ago was that, or, you know, when I ran for office, was that I'd bring the coroner's office up to the 21st century. And I believe this is part of that, you know, what it was years ago was a part-time gig. And now, you know, when you ask a guy to be full-time or be on call 24 hours a day, it's hard to consider that a part-time gig for me or whoever takes this office after me. Why it should be updated to the point where it's a consideration. And as pointed out before, I'm the only elected official operating in the county that's part-time. And not to toot my own horn, but I'm not mowing the grass. I am the lead investigator into every death in this county. I make the decision solely on whether or not it's a homicide, suicide, or a natural death. That responsibility falls to me. Whether I'm on vacation or here or not, I'm doing these kind of things online, managing deputies. I can't even go to Pueblo for parts for a machine and without lining up deputies to be on call while I'm gone, even if it's for 2 hours. I have to call around deputies and say, are you going to be here? I'm going to go to Pueblo. They do the same when they call me and say, hey, we're going to Canyon for the day. Okay, I'll be here. So even things that you don't necessarily see are involved in an everyday operation around this office. So I would appreciate your consideration. And I know there's a couple people that wanted to speak on my behalf for that too. So whenever you have comment on that, way, I know there's at least one online and a couple here. So I would appreciate your consideration in moving this to a full-time position.
Also for something that I didn't realize until that CCI conference I went to, that the coroner if the sheriff becomes incapacitated for one reason or another, the coroner steps in as the sheriff. So you're always there, and I've seen Brad jump in when there's times he could have just waited for the sheriff to call, but he was very proactive. And so I think we have a coroner that's very proactive and responding with the sheriff or an emergency situation, and know he would in the future as well. So
Okay, so in order to have a discussion with everybody, I we move into full-time.
and I'll second that.
Okay,
Okay, so I do have a motion on the floor to move the coroner from a part-time position to a full-time position beginning in 2024. That will take us to discussion. Be here at the table first.
we need to talk about money. What does full-time mean too?
Yeah, that's set by the state.
So we tell us, so everybody knows.
So the coroner's at part-time is up to the commissioners to decide whether or not they are full or part-time. And it's based per county. So a part-time position pays $34,900 and a full-time position pays $75,900, I believe. So it would be to that. And I can speak to the budget. This year I'm probably going to use most of my budget because I'm equipping the office with things that we never had before, bringing things up to speed. You guys helped me out with a vehicle. Our current vehicle died, so I appreciate your support in that. But, I've been buying supplies and equipment and things that we need. Even I bought things this week based on our experience with the triple homicide and my suicide the other day. I was digging a bullet out of a vehicle. And so I bought a toolkit to put in the coroner's truck for pry bars and things like that, screwdrivers, things like that, that I can use. Because we've recovered several bullets from scenes this summer. And so once I've got that up, I think in the next couple of years, I can probably run under budget than what we've projected. So
You on benefits now? You're not, are you?
I'm getting health insurance.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay, so it's just we're looking at a 40K plus up roughly.
probably, yeah. Yeah, but I think I can actually run under budget the next couple of years because I've got us pretty well equipped this year. And you never know. I mean, I spent $7,500 last week in autopsies. Just boom. With what went on.
That's the cost from Colorado Springs.
El Paso County. Yep, I sent four. I sent four for autopsy last week at $1,500 a pop. And I don't really have much option on, on a natural death, I can make that decision. It's my decision to make whether or not we autopsy. And if I have medical records and things like that, somebody's pretty sick, I don't waste the money. We don't need to put them through that. I don't need to put the family through that. But it's my typical MO to send anybody with a gunshot wound. Any gunshot wound I send for autopsy, whether it's self-inflicted or a homicide. But as you can understand, we're going to be in court for this for the next couple of years. So we need to cover our bases and not expose the county to any liability because we didn't do our job thoroughly.
And you're gonna spend some time in court.
I will be in court. I guarantee you with my involvement there, I will be a witness in court. So.
Plus the ongoing investigation.
Yeah. And it doesn't seem to end. And the amount of calls I've gotten on this daily is just staggering. News and media from out of town, all over the country, calling all day, families. I was on the phone with the funeral homes yesterday. Lot of things after that. Thanksgiving, I took my laptop with me and we were doing death certificates. I did 4 while I was at Thanksgiving dinner or that day, So it's a busy time.
And as we all know, we are an ever aging population here. Not just Custer County, but all of Colorado, from looking at some of the demographic reports we got right after Thanksgiving. So
I know when it's time, Randy Keller is online. He is the Fremont County coroner, and he's also the Colorado Coroners Association president. And he was going to speak to you guys on my behalf if you'd like to.
He's got his hand up there. Yeah.
I want to do a little bit of research. So the statute dealing with the payment of county officers indicates that no elected county officer shall have his or her compensation increased or decreased during his term of office. With some exceptions. I want to just make sure that we're not violating that, because that's also the same one that allows the county commissioners in consultation with the county coroner to change the designation from part-time to full-time. I just want to make sure that I'm comfortable we're not violating the no increase.
Yeah, it could be if you're in office and you're not going from part-time to something.
Yeah,
I understand.
I mean, I think we're okay. I just want to make sure before we actually do it that I want to maybe have some conversation with the county attorneys and see if just make sure that I'm comfortable and violating that provision. And I certainly don't mean to.
Sure, no, I also understood that.
I have a great deal of respect for what you do, and I don't
Sure.
in any way want to delay any kind of.
I appreciate that.
Increase from part-time.
I understood that applied to there's like a cost of living increase.
A
pay raise for everybody, and I won't get that until I'm reelected.
Right.
It won't happen until my next election cycle. But the commissioners do have the option to go from full to part-time.
That,
Based
yeah,
on-
that's the thing is,
Yeah.
as we're finding in most of these statutes, it says one thing and then it also says something exactly the opposite.
Right.
And, you know, I think I'm okay with it, but I just wanna kind of, I think we should have a discussion today and maybe not vote on it until the 13th.
Well, it doesn't take effect till then, we can always find out.
Yeah.
No,
that's true.
Let's just, because we can go ahead and decide what we're going to
Yeah.
do.
I'd be fine.
That way
with
we're
that too.
saving time, we have to delay, once we understand the rest of the story.
Yeah, I'd be fine with that too.
I was also aware of the statutes that the coroner does take over in the sheriff's absence, and we had that happen last year.
Yeah, we knew that.
Okay, I didn't know if that was ever brought up to anybody, but that could have applied to fill in your interim sheriff problem.
And that also,
Could have.
there is also a statute that says that he should have, if he wasn't, he should have been paid the same salary as the county sheriff for that period where he didn't take over.
When he acts as the sheriff. Sure.
Yes.
Instead of overtime, which probably is a lot more.
Right.
So I'm gonna ask for clarification on that point because we have an undersheriff. The undersheriff doesn't step into the sheriff role at all. They stay as an undersheriff and the
Correct.
coroner steps into the sheriff role.
That's
It
right,
goes back to the 1870s, I believe.
Yeah.
And statutes.
So,
because they were cleaning up the streets.
Mhm. Yeah, the coroner actually steps in as acting sheriff, runs the jail and the sheriff's department in their absence. So. It doesn't sound right, but that's the way it is.
thank you for that clarification.
Yeah, in my position, I would gather the undersheriff and the sergeants and, you know, let them run the show, take their advice on it and just be the figurehead of it. And I sure wouldn't come in and tell them how to do their job. But, they could run the show while we're charged with it.
Randy, I'll go to you next. I know we got a couple here in the room, but you've been patiently waiting all meeting here, sir.
Yes, not a problem at all. I'm happy to be here and I would like to just say good morning. And first of all, what I'd like to do is thank Custer County and thank your coroner and your chief deputy coroner, Nikita, for all of their assistance and resource that came over to help us in Fremont County during the return to nature situation that we're involved in, and I'm still involved in Colorado Springs right now. But they were just a tremendous help, and I want to extend a sincere thank you to the county and to the coroner and to the chief deputy coroner for everything that was aided in our investigation and the transportation that Brad and Nikita provided for us. So in regards to your discussion today, and I think it's great that this discussion is coming up for your coroner. This Senate bill was literally put in place for the smaller counties and the rural counties because of the pay concerns that was going on at the time during 2022. Well, it had been going on before this, but when the Senate bill came up in 2022, which is Senate Bill SB 22065. I would like to just touch on a little bit in regards to what coroners do. And I know a lot of people in the room probably understand Brad's job to an extent, but I've got a couple things I'd like to go through that might explain the role of the coroner a little bit better, that may make all of you feel even more comfortable with your decision process. The medical legal death investigation profession has changed significantly over the years. Many years ago, if a person could handle a dead body, that person could be the coroner or a deputy coroner. That is no longer the case. Today, death investigators must carefully be selected, hired, and elected to conduct medical legal death investigations. Training and certification requirements continue to be expanded, and time-consuming mandates such as House Bill 21-1317 that requires coroners to complete toxicology screens continue to be passed. Coroners often respond to scenes involving grieving families, tragic circumstances, and difficult situations, as Brad has seen in just recently there in Custer County. Upon completing the scene investigation, removal of the decedent from the scene, and returning to the coroner's office, the investigation has only just begun. In the hours and days following the on-scene portion of a death investigation, the investigator, coroner, or deputy coroner captures fingerprints of the decedent, may conduct an external examination of the body, request and review medical records, call witnesses, writes lengthy reports outlining the investigation and follow-up activity, documents and secures professional effects and medications, coordinates with forensic pathologists, meets with law enforcement officials, meets with families, and drives to, attends, and returns from autopsy. The autopsy process for most coroners around the state is at least a 4 to 5 hour process. Oftentimes, the initial response to the scene is in the middle of the night or on the weekends, or a lot of times on holidays. Additional follow-up can last for days, weeks, or even months. In many criminal cases, the coroner will have pretrial meetings with the district attorney and may be called to testify in court, which has already been mentioned in your meeting today. It is the most basic death investigation, there is a minimum of 5 to 10 hours of personnel time put into the death investigation over the course of several days following the on-scene response. In some of the more complicated death investigations, that amount of time can double or triple depending on how often family members call, the autopsy needs, or if there is an extensive search to find the decedent's next of kin. There are many instances where county coroners may respond to multiple deaths in a single day. In closing, I'd like to state that the role of the coroner is a very difficult job with long, difficult hours, and it is a very tough task. This Senate bill that was passed in 2022 was set up specifically for our rural counties from Category 2 to Category 4. So the problem we were running into at the time, folks, is that they were not being paid enough. So there was a lot of counties even trying to find competent folks to run for the position, or even getting anybody interested in running for the position with the pay not being compensated as it should. This decision, I think, if it's made to give Mr. Baltzley full-time pay, is not only good for him, but it is to help you retain him. And also in the future, it ensures that you get qualified and competent coroners to fill that position. And it'll be much easier for you in the future if Mr. Baltzley decides to retire. God forbid, I don't want him to retire. But anyway, I think that when you go to replace this position, it is going to be a positive thing if the pay is where it needs to be. So I'm just here to support Mr. Baltzley and his office. And I also want to say, with my position, as Brad stated, I am the current Colorado Coroners Association president. I have been now for about 6 years. I'm also the president of the Colorado Coroners Standards and Training Board that oversees all the requirements that coroners need to comply with within the state. One thing I can tell you about your coroner is that he fulfills that at all times. Everything is turned in a timely manner. I speak with Mr. Baltzley quite a bit in regards to some cases that we need to talk about at times, and I feel like he is doing a very responsible and professional job. So at this point, I would just like to support Mr. Baltzley for going to full-time pay. Thank you, folks. Any questions of myself or?
Just real quick, does that mean you certify all the coroners in the state?
Yeah, he is a certified death investigator currently with the Colorado Coroners.
I know he is. I was just asking, are you the guy that certifies them? Or are you making sure they continue? I think it's great.
Two different spots there. The Colorado Coroners Association, the board is the ones that look at certifying. The Colorado Coroner Standards and Training Board is the board that oversees the continuing education credits and mandates from the state that Mr. Baltzley has to comply with. And if that does not happen, the county commissioners will receive a letter stating that his pay were to be stopped, but you won't have a problem with this gentleman. So,
well, I appreciate the clarification. Thank you, and thank you for the support.
Yeah, thanks, Randy.
You bet. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, sir. Public comment on this from the room.
I suppose I would like to comment.
So, had James Gilbert in the back first with his hand up, and so we'll go there first.
Okay, James Gilbert, I'm a voter in Custer County, and when I vote for an elected official, my expectation is that person who gets elected is anticipated to do their job not on a part-time basis. My understanding, I'm electing a full-time person, and I frankly just became aware that we elect a coroner as a part-time employee, but yet expect that person to be on call 24/7 instead, and delve into the increasing violence and unfortunate self-inflicted violence and other things that a coroner has to deal with. It's a very complex job, and the last thing I want to do is elect somebody who has to pick and choose when they're going to work, because they're not going to do that. They're going to skimp along and take half-time pay or part-time pay for a full-time job. So I think it's a travesty that the position was downgraded to part-time and is not a full-time position. And to me, it has nothing really to do with the pay level as it is. That sounds like it's set by the state. But it's just a full-time position. Money saving is not a good reason to not pay somebody the worth of the job and the worth of the security of the voters of Custer County. Voters vote all the time for positions wherein it may or may not be a full-time operation, to wit Congress, but they get paid a full-time rate. So this is, in my mind, a silly discussion. It should never have been part-time.
Thank you. Kirk, go ahead.
I'm Dr. Tom Davis. I've been a practicing chiropractor for 57 years. I've taught at the College of Chiropractic for a few years. I've known Brad for about 20 years. And Brad was a deputy coroner when I met him. And we became friends, and he would always, not always, but a lot of the times after a death situation, particularly suicides and things of that nature, he'd always stop by and we'd talk over the cave. And the things that I found out about Brad is that he really had a feeling, a real empathy toward this position. He's won scholarships through some of the forensic courses. He's actually been invited to teach some of those courses over the years. The guy, he's got a flair for the job, for long term probably, but he really does, and he has a feeling for it, and he's wanted it, which is one of the unusual things about the thing. He wanted it, he ran for it, he got beat a couple of times, and that was really a travesty in terms of what happened there. And if the people really understood what that was all about, they would have elected him right out. Just an example for some of the things that Brad has done in this short period of time, he's elicited to them, and he really has brought the department into this century. The people that he's had as his deputy, his wife is a nurse, a certified nurse. There's a little background for you. We have another nurse, the retired scrub nurse for 37 years of experience in the operating room. He has a little bit of medical. I've been practicing for 57 years. I've taught in the college, so forth. I don't know how much more background you need as far as his help. We're just the helpers. So I can't really say enough about Brad. He's a good, solid guy. And any place you go, oh, you know Brad? I met a lady the other day in the doctor's office in the spring. I still don't know who she was. But I knew Brad. She just went all giddy about how great Brad was. That was totally unsolicited. And my wife told me the other day that she was up at Cripple Creek and there's some lady there. Oh, you know Brad. I mean, that's the kind of guy he is. His reputation is spotless and everybody loves the guy. And I can't say any more about it.
I've got a couple people fooled.
Mr. Smith.
My name is Rich Smith. I'm the Custer Sheriff, and I do work closely with the coroner. And so I'm not here to say that Brad deserves full-time pay. I'm just saying he's actually doing the job. So it's not like he's gonna be sitting in his office waiting for the phone to ring. He's been doing a full-time job since he started in the office. And the phone doesn't stop ringing because it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon. You get calls, all hours of the day and night. And then on several of these tragic incidents we've mentioned, particularly suicides, it's a traumatic thing, and Brad is out there at 5 o'clock at night or at 10 o'clock at night or 2 in the morning. It doesn't matter. He's doing a full-time job. He's putting in hours, and I think somebody should get paid for the hours that they're actually investing in the job. And I don't think he's out there sitting around looking for work. I think it's just the job has gotten busier, the county has gotten busier, mental health problems have gotten to be more. That's how our society is.
Thank you.
Jeff Bibbins, Custer County resident. I want to support this. And I want to support our commissioners in making a decision on this also.
Thank you, sir.
Even though Docs, I voted for Brad and I followed him in the office, and I agree with the last gentleman. He's done a great job. I want to support him too.
Thank you. Peter.
Nikia Phillips. Just to put this in a little more perspective, there's 2 guys in this room that you can call at 2 a.m. on Christmas and they'll be there. Rich being one and Brad being the other. They do work very closely together, which is also something you don't always see in a coroner and a sheriff relationship. So that's a blessing to have. What most people don't know is his phone's went off twice just since he's been in that seat. He's been on his phone half this meeting, just working through things. As it stands right now, if he only put in an 8-hour day, he would be making roughly a little over $8 an hour. On a 24-hour per hour, he's making a little over $2 an hour. So for our coroner, who is the second lead law enforcement guy in this valley, to be making $2, a little over $2 an hour is kind of embarrassing. But so I greatly appreciate you guys for even considering this and maybe doing Brad a service here and putting our coroner at a full-time position.
Thank you. Anybody else? Most everybody here. Let me check online. We've got no other hands online. I'm gonna run back to your statement here a few minutes ago. To ask about proceeding on this. I would like you to restate your opinion on how this would need to happen.
Maybe what I would suggest is that if the board is inclined to vote for this proposal, that it take effect as of January 1st.
That's what he proposed.
Okay, and I didn't, sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
Doing legal research on the fly. And then if for some reason I think there is an issue with that, I will bring that to the board before January 1st. I've already posed a question to the county attorney's list and see if anybody sees any problems with this.
Okay.
So
if we were so inclined to move forward, go ahead and do that
yeah.
and undo it at a later time if the need arose.
I'm okay with that, yes.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification. Sure.
Yeah, back to the board. You got any other questions out there?
I do not.
Okay. Yeah, I would also want to thank you, Brad, for coming in. You and I have known each other for many years and have discussed the change in the county.
Right.
And then I've known when we came in a long time ago to be a commissioner, and when you're around in those times, it was halftime. I don't know who made it halftime or why, but that's the way it was. And we've talked about it, and that's why I asked, and we supported having you bring in what you think it is and what it is. And so I appreciate everything. The detail that you brought in was very, very useful. And Nikita, he's going to double his wage. That's $4 an hour now.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a job that's thankless, and it is never going to be able to be compensated.
It's true.
So
kind of an apples and oranges at that time, though.
yeah.
So,
but thanks for bringing it in to consider.
So we'll let you make that statement. I do have a motion on the floor then, if any other comments occur. I do have a motion on the floor to move the coroner's position from a part-time position to a full-time position beginning January 1 of 2024. Those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
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 I would hope that you would not increase your hours more. Actually show us that we made a mistake and we have to take you back to part-time. How's that?
If nobody dies, we're good.
Ain't gonna happen.
But I would say I appreciate, I've spoken a time or two to you, but I know it's been a rough couple of months for you guys, and I hope that gets better.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Brad. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
And thanks for everything you
Appreciate
do.
it. You bet. We're glad to do it.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you.
We have one remaining item on our agenda. That would be the consideration of the Thin Air Communications proposal to repair and replace the equipment on the TV towers.
Okay, I put that on there as you know, we needed it. And following Brad is gonna be a little hard because this used to be the highest priority issue in the county. And it pales in comparison. However, the good news is we're moving forward. There's two phases to this. First phase is what we're talking about today, and that's getting the equipment and getting back online as soon as we can in the building that we have. The second phase involves the putting in a pad and then putting it in a cabinet and some minor equipment, a lot smaller cost. This particular proposal is from Thin Air Communications Incorporated. They detailed a very extensive piece of, I should say, list of equipment that's required, all of which includes even replacing the antennas. I mentioned that the other day because they're outdated, can't support the new equipment. All of the lines, the antenna lines, all that, and the racks to get it into the building that we have. It won't include air conditioning because there's not enough room in the building, and we'll deal with that in phase 2. So the total cost this, for the equipment total, for the two transmitters, the antenna and the wires and everything is $18,577. The labor to install it, come on down here and get it online, turnkey. So you turn it on, walk away until we come back, put it in the cabinet, is $16,500. And a total price for the project amounts to $53,654.74. I think it's today's rates. I'm surprised it came in that low. To tell you the truth, I thought it'd be higher. We were lucky that there's quite a few translators that are used, and they've been upgrading all of this to the digital world. So there's plenty of the equipment on hand. So I would move that we accept the proposal that Thin Air has presented to us and move forward. They will be able to start almost immediately and hopefully get this operating sometime before the end of January. I would need a second to that if we want to discuss it further.
I do have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, do I have a motion? I have a motion on the floor to approve the proposal from Thin Air Communications Incorporated for a proposal for $53,654.74. Discussion.
Okay, so the only other point I would bring up then is this would come out of capital improvement. And we haven't, we got quite a bit left in that fund for this year. We precluded carrying it over. The carryover will still work through the next year for the, then they were estimating maybe $12,000 or less to finish up the pad and do the rest. By the way, county will, and I talked to Vince, he and Scotty will dig a hole, pour the concrete. We'll fix the road going up there so that it's easier to get into and maintain this and bring the equipment in. The Thin Air will actually scale the towers, take everything out, put new antennas on, and do all the work.
So that'll be on top of this 53,000.
No. The only thing that'd be on top of it is taking it back out. And that all that's included in this, everything that I said, including they bid the antennas in it as well as the labor to put it on.
So what is not included in this bid?
The installation later, phase 2, putting it in the smaller cabinet that I sent you pictures of.
The
The
smaller cabinet is not included in this bid.
That's correct. That's what I said. That's what I said. The equipment, the next equipment required would be the cabinet and air conditioners, and then probably different racks to mount them in as
If I
well.
could reiterate, then this bid would be for the transmitters for 2 transmitters for the 2 stations installed in the existing building with new antennas and new towers and new
No
antennas.
new towers on the existing tower, mounting the antennas back on where the antennas are now. Running the cables down, taking the old cables off, running it to the building. And then the next phase would involve putting the pad in with power going to it from the building. In other words, we'd have to get a contractor to add the power back into the new cabinet. And that's it. Plus the cost of the equipment in the cabinet.
So this states in here under labor and engineering doesn't include any new cabling or new.
Yeah, what he did, he corrected that with a letter, and I'll have to show you the letter, but it does include that. He didn't pull that off of that. This is the turnkey with all the costs.
Other than the cabinet.
Other than the cabinet and the cost of putting power into the cabinet. I went back and forth with him on that, so I didn't send it out until today.
You have that letter in your possession?
Yeah, well, no, I don't. I have the letter, about when I saw that, I called him, so I can have him send that back.
I think I'd like to see that letter before I approved it. Just,
the cost of the antennas and the labor, I think the antennas are on. So
Does not include any new cabling or new antennas.
that's what he said, but then he said he included it, so.
I'd kind of like to see that.
That's okay.
Before I said
That's fine.
yes.
That's fine.
And so we're getting into trouble where, I know it says that in writing, but here's what I'm
Yeah,
gonna
no,
tell you.
I agree. And I asked him to send it.
So, but when we went out for drinks afterwards, he said it'd be good.
So, all right, that's fine, but we'll just, I'd still recommend approving it and pending, you know. Matter of fact, I can call him up now if we want to get him on the phone to tell us. So,
So this transmitter doesn't go inside the cabinet?
the translators are gonna be mounted in the racks that exist today in the building.
Okay,
These transmitters get put in the cabinet later.
okay, so they're gonna put them in the building now
Mhm.
and then later move them
To the cabinet because before it gets too hot and it starts to ruin them. That's why they're, it's a two-phase operation.
sounds like a lot of labor being spent to do it twice.
No,
Is there, if I could maybe re-ask that same question a little different. Why are they putting it in the existing building now instead of going ahead and having a pad port and setting this cabinet and just putting it
if you
in
wanna
there?
wait, we can do. But the bottom line is they wanted to get it online, to put the criteria was to get it operational quickly. And it's easy to do because it exists. Today, we have a building that's got plenty of room to put them in. Does not have room with the other stuff that's in there and the stuff that's there for an air conditioner to service it properly. And we would run the risk of having to re-buy the equipment again. So their final fix, which I think is the right fix, is to put it in the cabinet, which they've already demonstrated, and that's what they've done for many other counties. And they mount it closer to the antenna. It'll be right at the foot of the antenna. And then wiring that goes up, so it's better for the signal, better for the maintenance on it. It's easy to get to.
So the AC unit is undersized for any more additional heat load.
And there's really, we never had an AC unit in there.
Oh, there is no AC.
No, we can't get it in there.
Okay.
So that may become an issue later on for some of the other.
And so they estimate until the end of May, middle of June, it starts getting warm then. It beats down on it.
I thought there was an AC unit and this is additional heat load that should not be compensated by the existing.
So they use all the couplings, everything that's there, there's gonna be a few pieces they're gonna remain in the old building, probably the old racks. They'll take everything out, clean it out. That includes getting rid of the old stuff.
How long would we have to wait for the cabinet to be built and set and everything put in it?
Depends on us getting up there to build the pad. And that would, in the winter time, it doesn't make sense.
And you say their estimate for doing the changeover at that point is approximately,
Less than, he was saying, I'm gonna give it a range. He was saying less than I thought it would be. It's like $6,000 to $10,000 less than that. Okay. To produce a new cabinet with the air conditioning units and the heaters in it. And remount the equipment in the racks.
and that will be an additional 6,000 to 10,000.
Right above this cost. So the total price is gonna run us around $70,000, let's say. And that's a turnkey. Modern equipment that they claim will last forever, but you know how that goes. Turn it on and forget it, he says.
You've made that comment a couple times.
I
haven't said a word, but.
But I'm just telling you, I know better. I'm just telling you what he told us.
Yeah, I know.
And it's the new equipment, right? I hate these computers because they claim they're gonna work and when you need them, they never do.
Okay, so we need to move this decision to the 13th as well, so we can get that letter.
That's fine.
Okay.
So, do we want a motion to do that, or would you like to just withdraw your motion?
No, I say let's
Put it
take
back
it
in?
until the 13th. But why reinvent a wheel?
Okay,
Don't need to go through the same thing. All we're looking for is like letter verifying the price.
I would entertain a motion to table it until the 13th.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay, so I have a motion on the floor to table this until the 13th. Any comment on that?
No, sir.
Public comment? Nothing online. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Make sure you write that down. Oh, you won't be doing this agenda for the.
Oh, I got it down.
Just want to make sure. Additional items of business. I have one. That I neglected earlier. And that would be, if we were just talking about towers, the parts are in for the generator for the Vermont Tower. They are over at the fire station. They have reached out to me to find out if we have someone to go ahead and install those parts or what we need to do, because we are now the lead since we have signed that IGA. In regards to getting the parts so that that generator will kick in until we address the fact that we need a new generator. Parts are in, but we need to get them installed.
Interesting. So who ordered the parts? How did they know what parts to order? And why isn't the person who recommended the parts putting them in?
And they possibly could. I would have to have that conversation with probably Bree and see, or I need to have a conversation to find out on that. The parts were ordered. They were, I'm going to say, about $300 for the parts for that generator. And this was probably just a supplier that they, I think we're aware they did have the fire department had called down a
Kohler
that
generator.
from Springs came down, and they are the ones that decided what parts needed ordered. They have now they were ordered and are now in. If we wanted to have them come back from Springs and install them, I'm sure they would. Or if we wanted to, I do not know how much that entails, if someone local could put them in reasonable or not.
Without knowing what parts they are, I guess we need to just go back to who recommended the parts and say, and ask them the questions to put them in.
Your opinion on that, sir?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. If it's all right with you guys, then I will get back with them at the fire department and have them reach back out.
Okay.
Cause they sent me an email the other day asking if we had someone to do that install. And so during this transition time, they were involved with getting everything ordered, but.
No, and I mean, the mechanic with the fire department did good, and I guess I assumed that when I heard there's parts ordered that they were gonna come back out and put them in, so.
Okay. I will reach back out after this meeting. I didn't want to speak back to them until I knew what our preferences were.
Okay, thank you.
That's all I have. And nothing from you two, gentlemen. Public comment. Mr. Gilbert.
Sorry to be such a busybody. Couple of things. One is just to make clear my comment. After you acted, the coroner's position is now full-time regardless if you get elected into that position. Because you're not actually raising the coroner's salary, you're just changing the status. So, the second thing is a little bit different. When the planning and zoning report was made, I think, Kevin, you asked Dorothy if she had an ask for the Q Public upgrade to include all the documentation. I'm very curious as to why that should be an ask and why it's not a tell. And why, as a department director, she wasn't allowed to let you folks know she's upgrading the program for a whopping $708, and why you would consider spending your time talking about it and improving it one way or another. The same was true a couple of meetings ago on the program to monitor the STRs, which came on the run. She had budgeted for that. It should have been a department director position, and here, this is even a more blatant example of doing the director's job as opposed to letting the director do their job.
Thank you. Point taken, sir.
Good point. And in fact, that's what we're trying to push on, Jim. Thanks for amplifying that. It was there. She made the ask, and so we just acted on it. But that's something that in the future, there are certain authorities, but and as long as in their budget and it's within the requirements, and it's not something that would do something that would require our action, that would be up to the managing commissioner to bring it. Otherwise, so we're evolving.
Yeah, and that was definitely a coordinated effort between the assessor and past information that was between the two groups that no one was sure on how her inputting her stuff affected his stuff, and now that's been straightened out and fleshed out, so she probably could have just went and did it on her own, but I asked her to get a price and she presented it, so.
Yeah. And I told her that I also visited with her and told her, just given circumstances, that if it had asked, it entailed a monetary deal, that we would probably want to put it on the agenda.
Yeah.
So, something we need to iron out and get where it all happens the same every time. Any additional public comment? Don't see anything online. That being the case, the time is now 11:47 a.m. I will adjourn this BOCC meeting.